Hello, welcome to Cooking with Countryside. My name is Melissa and today we're going to be making Crockpot Applesauce. Now, fall is one of my favorite times of the year because I love to go apple picking and I always find that I pick more than I can eat. So this recipe is a great way to use up some extra apples. What you're going to need from the market are apples of any variety, and you can choose to either use one variety or use several varieties, and I recommend using a few different ones. And you'll need some honey. This is optional, but it's going to add a little bit of sweetness and a little bit better flavor than regular sugar. Alternatively, you could add a little bit of sugar if you need to sweeten it up without honey, or you could add no sweetener at all. And then our final ingredient is going to be cinnamon. And again, this is optional as well. You might decide to add this individually to your bowl rather than to the whole pot. So there's only really one big step for this. What we're gonna do is we are gonna peel and core and slice the apples. So I have one of these handy dandy apple slicers. So once I peel that, I'm just going to cut them up so they're a little bit smaller so they cook a little bit better. And then I'm gonna throw them in the pot. And I'm gonna probably use between 10 and 15 apples for this. Depending on the size of your crock pot, you could make more or less. Obviously, the more apples you add, the more you're gonna make, but just remember that this will shrink when it's cooked. So if you fill it all the way to the top with apples, it's not gonna be filled quite all the way to the top once it's cooked. And depending on how much time you have in the day can also depend on how long you'd like to cook this. So you could either cook it on high for about 3 to 4 hours, or you could cook it on low for 6 to 8. Okay, and I still have a tiny bit of skin on the top there, and that's okay. Alternatively, you could leave the skins on, but you're not gonna get as great of a texture. And so I'm just gonna continue to do that with all my different kinds of apples until I basically fill up my crock pot. I'm gonna make a big batch today because I know it's gonna go fast. And so I will be back to show you the next steps once all my apples are cut and peeled. So now my crock pot is filled with peeled and cored and sliced apples. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add about half a cup of water. And then if you would like, you can add a little bit of honey. You could always add the honey later as well. And so we're gonna add the lid and we're gonna turn this on again, either high for 3 to 4 hours or low for 6 to 8. And then we wait. So it's been about 2 hours of cooking on high, and I just noticed that it was starting to smell really good, so I decided to check it. And you'll probably notice that the apples are very broken down already, but we need to smush them a little bit more, so you can use any kind of masher or a fork, and we're just gonna smush the apples to break them up so there's no big chunks and so it's a little bit smoother. Now I personally like my applesauce to be a little chunky, so I'm gonna make sure that it's thick still. And at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon as well and get that mixed in there. And so you can keep cooking this if you would like to get a little more of that water content out and a little more tender, but actually it looks pretty good. So this is the first time that I've cooked this on high. So if you're cooking on low, it may be more realistic to that 6 to 8 hour time frame, but on high, it looks like after 2 hours, it was pretty much ready. And if you'd like to keep cooking it, go for it. So that's all you need to do. You can add more honey or more cinnamon to it as needed, and you can serve this warm or cold. And it's perfect if you're having guests over because it makes your whole house smell really good. So if you're interested in seeing how you can get the apples and honey for this from your local farmers, visit countrysidefoodandfarms.org. Thank you and enjoy!